Alright, so make my first update on this. First of all, I apologize for the coloring and the lighting. It's like way too cold outside to do anything, and my camera does really bad in indoor lighting. That being said, I'll just get on with it. So what I did is I just take a microfiber cloth and just some generic glass cleaner, and I wiped it all down. Tried to get any stickers off. I don't know if that'll show up on camera. There was a sticker there. And then there's a little, in the primer, a little tiny bump. And I just wanted to kind of show you that, just so you can see that when you're painting, sorry about the non-focus, when you're painting, your paint, especially when you use auto body paint, is going to magnify any defects in the paint. So if you got a little piece of hair, like I can see one right there, probably not going to show up on camera, a little tiny piece of lint. And that's the problem with not doing this in the paint booth, is if you're looking for perfection, it's almost not achievable, because I just cleaned this and already a little piece of lint just from the cloth and something landed on there, and you'll never get that all the way off. You just gotta kind of roll with it. Now I'm gonna put just some cheap generic paint on the inside here. I should really do a primer if I cared about that, like that little mark I showed you from the run. Really, you would need to do this inside with a primer if you're trying for perfection, and then feather sand that out, and that's the only way you're going to kind of hide those. But this is the inside, and I'm just doing this more for to keep rust from forming on the inside. So anyways, when I get done painting this, I'll just I'm doing this inside, which the wife would kill me if she saw me doing this, and but I'm just going to try to do a little piece at a time. Hopefully it won't fog up too much in here, but it's just too cold outside and I don't have a place to paint. So it's going to come out really bad looking because I can't really sweep it the way I want, because I'll make too much overspray. So I'm just going to hit it, give it a little short shots. It's probably going to take a long time to keep, because I'm trying to keep the paint overspray down. And it'll be interesting to come back and look at this. Now this might cover it up, because that's the purpose of this. It's kind of like a outdoor covering paint, you know, it's just a generic, so it might go on a little bit thicker, but most of the time your automotive quality paint really is just to put a color over your primer. So it's super thin, and it's just going to actually magnify any defects you have underneath in the primer. So if you're looking for perfection, all your work has to come at the primer level. Anyways, I'll quit mumbling, and I'm gonna not gonna make you watch this. I'm just gonna paint it, and we'll see how it comes out. I'm gonna sit there. I have to shake this can up because it's really cold and it's really old. I recommend you use new paint if you're caring about the looks of the job. Again, this is the inside, and this is more for a functionality paint than looks, because nobody can see the inside. Okay, so I just sprayed on a light coat. That's one thing too. You gotta not put a heavy first coat on. You actually gotta do kind of a light coat, and then we gotta let that, what they call, flash off, evaporate off. And that's what's hard to do when it's really cold out, because things don't want to evaporate. So, and it's very tacky right now. Actually, I noticed it showing up. I tried to wash it off. I put my hand on there. This stuff's very hurt. It sticks very well. So, yeah, it's pretty good bonding paint there. So it should do a nice job. I should go to the store and get some more. I probably could make it. Typically, you don't want to interrupt an operation like this. You want to paint it when it flashes off. You want to get the next coat on, but it's very important that you don't put another coat on until this is dried, because if you put another coat on, this bottom coat will still be wet, and it'll get, the top of the paint dries faster than the bottom, and so it won't be able to evaporate off, and you end up with a big gooey mess. So it's important to do light coats and just let the paint do the covering for you. Also, a really good thing is to go heavy on the edges, because they take a lot of abuse. Again, paint's not really protection. Your strength actually comes more from your primer, and then the clear coat's what takes all the abuse. The paint is more just to make it look nice, and it's very thin. Anyways, so we'll just kind of pick it up from here, see how it goes. Alright, I had to move this operation outside. It painted up pretty good for just doing real, not being able to swipe the can the way I wanted, because I was inside the house. I was trying to keep the overspray down. but it covered really nice. I was surprised. I got to looking at the can, and this is actually a primer plus a paint, so that's why it stuck so good. Because I was like, man, I really should prime this to make sure it bonds good. But this paint really sticks well, so the primer part of it is true. And I was really surprised it covers really good. It covered up that, I don't see that spot that I was showing you. Oh, I see it now. You probably can't see it on camera, but it did a really good job. I can see it there. Again, this is in the finishing side, and to the untrained eye they probably wouldn't spot that. So it almost doesn't need another coat, but I'm gonna finish off this can because it's almost empty. Try to paint it out here. The downside to working outside is it's a lot colder, which the upside of that is the paint's gonna stick really good. It's just gonna take forever to flash off if I leave it out here in the cold. That, and you have wind to contend with, which right now is blowing around, and sometimes you'll blow debris into the paint, and also it's drizzling out. Also, when you should wear these are just those Harbor Freight 5mm gloves. When you're moving stuff around, that way the oils from your fingers, they'll really cause a lot of trouble in the paint job, so that'll keep that down for you. So I'm just gonna go, I'm always really worried about the edges. They need to be nice and thick, so I'm just gonna hit the edges again and just give another coat on there. Probably call it done with this can here. It's almost empty. That's another downside. Painting down at an angle like this is hard for a spray can to do. It's nicer to paint like this, but then I have to rig something up so I can hold the fender up, and we'll just see how it goes. Hopefully I just need to mist it up. I'm just going to go heavy, like I said, around the edges, give another coat in the middle, and call it done for this side. But it's coming out looking pretty good, actually. Alright, so here's kind of what it looks like. Actually came out pretty good, but being so cold out here, the paint sticks well, but it stays wet a long time. And then so a lot of debris, little lint and stuff's gonna fall into it. This actually came out really good though. You'd have to, here's some dirt in here, you probably can't see it. You could probably wet sand it a little bit to smooth this out if you're really trying to get a really nice look. And again, this is just to prevent it from rusting. It's gonna be all cleaned up. Depending on how nice I want this to come out, it's almost hard to do it. You could do it at home if you had a clean environment. You could make it really nice, but you know, out here with the wind blowing, the only thing left to do now is, when it dries, is to actually put the color I want on it. And again, any little defects you see now would show up in that. So yeah, anyway, so it is what it is, but it's gonna actually looks decent, way better than it did before, or the one I'm gonna swap it out with. So anyways, that's where I'm at. Just gonna let this sit out here and dry, which is gonna take a really long time because it's so cold.